Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's day is Tuesday, the 8th of July, 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. Literally, there is still the fallout of this 80,000 BTC being moved. BitMEX has weighed in on it. They're also sort of like trying to drive the knife in, saying, bad luck for those who thought the UK FCA doesn't have a brilliant record when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin. Whoever it was, the FCA, one of the top ladies at the FCA has decided to not attend the London blockchain conference. So they're just sort of gloating over that. No surprise, really. We'll just try and investigate the movement of the 80,000 BCH as well. But they're saying that it wasn't anything to do with Roger, but we'll have a look at that article. And then this one then, Coinpedia saying, just going on about the 80,000 BTC that moved after 14 years. Mystery transfer or massive hack. Again, we'll just have a quick look at that. Sort of too long didn't read kind of style. Scott has also said here, wow, Tether started printing large amounts right at the time Satoshi moved billions. Crazy coincidence. So that's why the price of BTC didn't plummet on that move like it normally does when they say, oh, Satoshi might be here, Satoshi might be here. Bitcoin Magazine has done this article here on Peter McCormack. So he's saying his life has been an open book, but he seems to, I think he might have sold his podcast and now he's done another one that's sort of like slightly more political. Peter Schiff is weighing in on this. So they're saying now that they've got $1.1 billion in USD on what they call real world asset tokens. And again, he's going, this is what Bitcoin should be used for. He doesn't really understand what Bitcoin really is yet, even now. Cointelegraph says Bitcoin to benefit from Trump's big beautiful bill. Analysts predict. We'll have a look at those. Light has just made a comment on one of CSW's posts here about resolving CAP through automata theory economic design. So we'll have a quick look at that. There's another one of his posts, another one of his blogs on Medium if we've got time. We'll just have a look at some of the articles on CoinGeek. We've got some 365 days of Bitcoin history, and then we'll finish with the calendar countdown. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, here we go. So BitMEX says here, there appears to be an ongoing Bitcoin scam occurring. Someone is sending old 2011 era Bitcoin addresses with balances, transactions with an op return output. For instance, the one FIEX address with the 80,000 BTC stolen from Mt. Gox. The op return message was as follows: notice to owner and a C. Salomon Bros. The webpage then says the digital wallet appears to be lost or abandoned. Our client has taken constructive possession of it and is seeking to determine if there is a bona fide owner. This seems like a Calvin Ayre legal scam. It's all a scam according to BitMEX. There's then been a web form seeking personal data. It should be noted that the website appears legitimate. The website claims to be linked to the 1980s Wall Street titan Solomon Brothers. But again, I've had other people looking at that saying the website's not legit. However, as far as we can tell, the links between this company and the website are fake. There is a page with an advisory board that contains real people who worked at Solomon Brothers in the 1980s. However, these people seem to have no link to the new subterraneous entity. Do not fill in this form. All right, interesting. So another side of it, and again, they're constantly trying to implicate, Calvin Ayre or Craig or anything like this, just anything to spite BSV. Oh yeah, they're playing jokes on us and blah 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 blah. Honestly, I would say pathetic if you ask me. And talking about being pathetic, this is where they're gloating over the fact that one of the speakers at the London Blockchain Conference has turned it down. They said it now looks like Jane from the FCA is no longer a speaker at the London Blockchain Conference. Seems that even the FCA, with their very, very limited Bitcoin knowledge, know that Craig is a fraudster. Honestly, you've got to laugh. You've got to laugh. It's absolutely hilarious. But they're like, for those that thought the UK's FCA doesn't have a brilliant record when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin, it gets worse. The FCA is sending their head of payments and digital assets to speak at Cavanair's BSV conference. Cavanair is the individual that financed vexatious lawsuits against the Bitcoin developers based on the fraudulent claim that Craig Wright is Satoshi. They're still banging on about it. Really. Well, do you want to explain the Ira Kleiman case? The fact that Craig is recognised by a Florida circuit jury, trial by jury, that he is the sole and rightful owner of the Satoshi coins. Oh yeah, no, let's quite a lot mention that. Oh yeah, but he owes 100 million to WMK. Yeah, that he's the majority shareholder in. Like, honestly, just getting it's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. But Crypto News, they had their spin on the 80,000 BTC, and obviously again, trying to name names. Anybody but Craig. So they said, did Roger Ver move 80,000 BTC? Yeah, right. I worked out that Roger had 25,000 BTC at the most, and I think that's before he's traded them all for mostly sort of BCH and things like that, and all the other shit coins that he's got. Because I think he bought. I think he put in. Well, it would have been $25,000 when it was a dollar each. That would have given him 25,000 grey coin. That's what I worked out at. 8 connected wallets moved a total of 80,000 BTC in the past day. As the billion-dollar wallets shifted their coins to new addresses, speculation rose about the holder's identity. On July 4th, whale watchers intercepted 2 notable transactions from old BTC wallets. The transactions were likely linked to the same entity, moving a total of 20,000 BTC within hours. The coins moved just as BTC was hovering above 109,000, expecting a new potential price record. Later, the OG whale moved all other related wallets, while closely watched by on-chain analysis. A total of 80,000 BTC has been transferred to new wallets so far, with no signs that the whale would be ready to sell. Oh, well, yeah, they had to put that in there, didn't they? But look, it's all been concentrated, onto a platform of some sort. The wallet cluster identified as belonging to one early whale was finally emptied. Source mempool mempool.space. The 14-year-old holding also suggested that the owner held a strong conviction and would sell in a way that would not crash the market. Oh yeah, that's right, more propaganda. Oh, don't worry about it, it won't crash the market. The size of the holdings is also suitable for a BTC treasury, yeah, more speculation there, which would put the owner ahead of the Mara holdings and just behind Strategy, which is MSTR. After the initial 2 transactions moved the coins, the rest were shifted more quickly, in the end emptying the original 14-year-old wallet of their 10,000 BTC. Some of the coins moved today were acquired in April 2011 at 78 cents per BTC. Other wallets were funded at a price of $3.37. The current price of all coins that moved today is above 8.6 billion. Did Roger Ver move 80,000 BTC? Yeah, right, good luck with that. The on-chain analyst suggested that the whale may be none other than Roger Ver, who showed early belief in the long-term future of BTC. I've heard so many people go, oh, Roger Ver, Richard Hart. I'm like, honestly, what an absolute joke. Ver was arrested in Spain for misleading tax filings and in January pleaded with the US President Donald Trump to avoid extradition. One of the hypotheses is that Ver may have to use some of the BTC to achieve a plea deal. If true, then Ver must have kept significant BTC reserves while shilling a B-Crash. Since the wallets were created before the Bcrash fork, the owner must also hold 80,000 BTC and other forked coins. Others suggested that Ver had spent most of the original 600k BTC and the transfer went to the wallets of the government. The newly created wallets do not point to the identity of the recipient. Was the whale an early miner? The other hypothesis for the whale is that wallets were part of the total haul of an earlier miner who produced a total of 200,000 BTC. The coins moved today, if acquired at their respective market prices, would only amount to 250,000. The whale achieved the biggest daily move of coins aged over 10 years. Previously, the record was for 3.7k BTC from the same age band. Older miners and wells are seen as the most reliable holders, as the old cohorts may also contain inaccessible wallets. Older miners have moved coins from earliest wallets dating back to 2010, although a much smaller scale. Well, yeah, because hardly anybody was mining it back then. For now, it remains uncertain whether the moved coins would enter the market in some way. Even 80,000 BTC may be absorbed relatively quickly with the expansion of BTC treasury companies and renewed ETFs. Similar news, suspicions around mysterious $8.6 billion Greycoin move. Is Roger the Satoshi era Bitcoin? Well, no. The serious theory has emerged about the identity and a move behind the huge early Bitcoin well that moved 80,000 BTC yesterday. Not that I believe any of that, but let's see what they're saying. Earlier yesterday, yeah. So, Roger, give me a break. Sani also suggested that this move could be part of a possible deal Roger Ver can make with the US Internal Revenue Services. Honestly, absolutely just desperate. Desperate is what that is. Let's see what Coinpedia said about 80,000 BTC moves after 14 years. Mysterious transfer or massive hack? Story highlights 80,000 Satoshi era Bitcoin suddenly moves after 14 years, sparking speculation of a massive crypto breach. Arkham says all wallets likely controlled by one entity using newer and cheaper address formats. Coinbase Conor Grogan suspects a possible hack after the strange Bitcoin Cash test transactions occurred. We'll have a look at that. No one has claimed ownership, and the analysis say this could be crypto's biggest theft. Now, I'm not having any of that rubbish. Who's behind the transfer? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Where's this thing about the BCH? Just read that bit. Here we go. Coinbase head hints at possible hack. That's what Conor Grogan, head of product at Coinbase, is wondering. In an ex-post, Grogan floated the idea that this could be the largest crypto heist in history if those wallets were compromised. He pointed one suspicious clue: a small Bcrest transaction made from one of the whale wallets about 14 hours before the main BTC transfer. According to Grogan, this may have been a way to secretly test whether the wallet's private keys still worked. I think that's probably a good theory. Well, Grogan made it clear that this is just speculation, not proof, but he added, if this really was a hack, Grogan said it could be the biggest theft in history. Yeah, not quite. As in, like, I don't think it's a hack at all. That's hilarious. Scott pointed out, they said, wow, Tether started printing large amounts right at the time the Satoshi moved billions. Crazy coincidence. And so they said here, Tether watch another large Abraxas print that proves Tether is circular. HEKA funds is a Luna-like Ponzi scheme, and Tether probably is as well as a result. Large prints are lovely because they're easy to follow, so let's track this 190 million out and 70 million in, then shall we? Tether Treasury 70 million. Let's get on to the Tether weather. Let's see what happened. Market cap. Not too much in the day. But in the last 7 days, this is probably it. So that was the third. And that was the fourth there. There we go. So we've got that fourth that's gone in. And on the fifth. Quite a lot's gone in this week then. So that went from 158 billion to 158.6 billion. So, yeah, 620 billion. A million. So, half a billion. Like, jeepers. crazy. I mean, this is literally like FTX on another level. Literally on another level. Crazy. But yeah, Tether doing their thing, keeping the market steady. Otherwise, the price might have wobbled following that movement there. Oh, Satoshi might be back. Oh my god! Like, what are they shitting themselves about if Satoshi did come back? You know, say, look, what are you doing effing up my project? That's what really would happen. Right, let's find out what's going on with PMAC, because he's got a new podcast now. He's no longer hosting What Bitcoin Did. Didn't really like him anyway, but you know, the new one just seems even worse. So Bitcoin Cointelegraph has done an article on him here saying everything feels like it's going to shit. Peter McCormack reveals new podcast. Peter McCormack's podcast evolves into the Peter McCormack Show, and Real Bedford FC moves up football divisions. Peter McCormack's life has been an open book. He's been candid and with his audience and the magazine about discovering Bitcoin while buying far too much cocaine on Silk Road and winding up in hospital in 2014. A few years later, in 2019, he wrote the piece for the Guardian revealing that he'd made $1.2 million investing in Bitcoin and then lost it all. But after selling his stack during the bear market to keep his What Bitcoin Did podcast afloat in 2024, he emerged wealthier and healthier than ever before. Supposedly so. This cycle, he's kept his earnings and realised his childhood dream of taking over the Bedford Football Club. What Bitcoin Did is on the verge of transforming into a whole new podcast called the Peter McCormack Show. No, I think he's just taken. I think he might have sold it. And the Real Bedford has added Bitcoin to its treasury. McCormack says he's in a good place both professionally and personally. Quote here, I have everything I want in the world. When I wake up, I get to do whatever I want, which is a fabulous place to be. I work with my son, who is a beautiful soul. I see my daughter all the time. My dad comes to live with me 6 months of the year and helps me with my football club. I work with my brother. I see my friends. Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world to deliver this life. Lucky. What Bitcoin Did becomes the McCormack Show. Well, they've still carried on. Peter McCormack is in the fortunate position of being able to do anything he likes most days, as long as he turns out 3 podcasts a week. As long as he does 3 podcasts a week. For the past 7 years, that's been for What Bitcoin Did, the most popular podcast on Bitcoin in the world. Holy crap. But having discussed every conceivable Bitcoin topic with every possible guest over the 190 shows, yeah, apart from the protocol of Bitcoin and what it's actually used for, missed out those 2 vital things, didn't you, Pete? He's mixing things up, and from September 10th, it will be a whole new podcast with a different format and a theme that's broader, but Bitcoin as the heartbeat, really. He shared more information on the McCormack Show on 28th of August on X, saying that he's fed up with travelling the world to interview Bitcoiners, as it takes him away from his beloved football club and local community. Instead, he brings guests to his new Soho studio. Oh, is that what it is? He says the inspiration for the podcast evolution was the realization the Bitcoin world can be somewhat insulated from the bigger issues that affect ordinary people's lives. He said, I'd come home from spending 2 weeks with Bitcoiners and be with friends and family locally and notice a distinct difference in how they see the world. As everything feels like it's going to shit, I feel like there is a bigger job to do now. Oh, fair play. As a result, the new show aims to cover a wide range of topics in an attempt to introduce listeners to fresh perspectives and ideas, aligning with sound money where relevant. Think of the shows we've had with the likes of Eric Weinstein and Michael Malice. Fair and balanced, except when interviewing Peter Schiff. He enjoys podcasting, sometimes veering into the entertainment and sometimes sticking to pure journalism. He tries to be fair and even-handed sometimes. It's the job of a journalist to tell a story, and sometimes your voice gets involved. Podcasting offers a weird mix of both styles, and everyone has an opinion. A good example of being fair was his famous moderation between Bitcoin maximalist Samson Mow and Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin. This received praise across the spectrum for the neutral moderator stance taken by McCormack. Oh dear. Naturally, I side with Samson on these issues, and I've zero interest in Ethereum, but I want to give Vitalik space to frame his arguments, he said. However, his neutrality doesn't extend to Goldbug Peter Schiff ranting about how terrible Bitcoin is. Quote here, I moderated another conversation with Peter Schiff, and I was not particularly impartial in that one, he says. McCormack's passion for telling stories also led him to make documentaries, although he has reached the end of the road there. There are 2 still in the pipeline, but he doesn't really have much interest in doing more. He's written a screenplay for a movie he's considering developing. He won't be drawn into the plot, but expresses a liking for art house movies, he says. It's a film about reflection. Yeah, and Bradford FC. Oh, the Craig Wright saga. Let's have a look at this one then. Craig Wright saga, legal victory against fake Toshi. He didn't really get a legal victory, he lost. Another big success, eventually, yeah, there we go, he hasn't actually succeeded yet, was his uncompromising public criticism of Craig Wright for claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. This will go down in history, Pete. In 2023, the libel case taken by Wright against Peter McCormack resulted in a technical win for Wright, but McCormack was ordered to pay compensation of just £1 British, plus all the costs though, about £300,000. Wright's woes were compounded in March when the UK High Court Judge Mellor said in no uncertain terms that the Australian's claims were fallacious, supported by outright lies and bad forgeries, even though there were no allegations of forgery or fraud. Yeah, nice one, mate. Mellor said, thus, Dr. Wright presented himself as an extremely clever person. However, in my judgment, he is not nearly as clever as he thinks he is. I don't think the judge is as clever as he thinks he is. McCormack is currently chasing Wright for losses and won an important legal victory on the day of his interview with a magazine, allowing his legal team to freeze £1.54 million of Wright's assets. McCormack says Wright either has to pay £800,000 on account or reveal his assets. Quote here, I'm not stopping. My point to both Craig and his backer Cavanair is to do the right thing. They tried to defraud people and they didn't get away with it. We're 5 years into the fight, but we will succeed. Bitcoin is a weapon. Given he has devoted much of his life to Bitcoin, great coin actually, he has some intriguing thoughts about it and has changed his life to take advantage of those ideas. Quote here, it makes you think about the nature of money. No, he doesn't know the difference between money and currency. How you use it, how you store wealth, and how you plan for the future. For me personally, money is a tool for you to achieve what you want to do. But how you manage money is a weapon, he says. He says the government also uses money as a weapon, but in a negative way, weaponizing the financial system for their own gain. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. When you understand money, which he doesn't because he doesn't understand securities fraud and doesn't know the difference between money and currency, you can weaponize it in your favor. No one taught me about money until Bitcoin came along, and he still didn't get it. And I realized that I needed both money and an asset, and Bitcoin was that asset. McCormack explained his own financial revolution. He recently bought a house, and traditional financial thinking would be to have a small mortgage as possible. However, he opted to have a larger mortgage as possible, thereby maintaining as much money as possible in Bitcoin. Oh dear, oh dear. McCormack's entrepreneurialism has also extended to the purchase of a bar, but this has also raised his general ire, this time directed at the government. He wonders darkly about the benefit of a government where the sole aim seems to be to want to tax productive people. Yeah, that is true. A long article, this one. Turning Argentinians into Bitcoin. Despite making a fortune by buying a football club and hosting the biggest Bitcoin podcast in the world, McCormack modestly admits with a shrug that he has not been successful in persuading his friends to invest. They won't listen, he says, adding he had better success converting residents of countries with bad money, such as Argentina, where they have bouts of inflation. And he'd tell them about Bitcoin and they say, money we can control. How do I get me some of that? It's an easy sell. The great thing about Bitcoin is that it can lead to a different kind of wealth distribution and help those who are suffering the most. But McCormack seems a little taken back and categorically does not agree with my next question, which is, would the presence of Bitcoin have stopped the rise of the Third Reich? Would those wheelbarrows of worthless money not have become weaponized, to use his term? Quote here, I do think Bitcoin would have stopped the rise of Nazism and stopped the Holocaust. I mean, it's a hell of a thought experiment, but no, I don't think so. The pain goes back to the unreasonable war reparations which the country had to pay. Oh God, I mean, he still doesn't understand history. That they've lied to us about what the Nazi Party was actually about, and Hitler's rationale. You know, we're told to believe that he's an absolute nut job, you know, whereas the truth has come out recently, you know, when they've translated all his speeches. You know, no wonder the German people liked him, you know, because they have this, like, literally, you know, satanic culture invading their culture, you know, perverting everything just like they're doing here, you know, putting paedophiles in the classroom and locking up innocent, unviolent people while releasing violent offenders, you know, all this crap, you know. But yeah, kind of interesting there. So this is Peter Schiff on tokenizing real world assets. He says, I've always said that tokenized gold was where our blockchain and crypto would ultimately end up. Tokenizing real assets to increase liquidity and portability adds value. Tokenizing worthless strings of numbers does not. Stay tuned for my own offering at tgold.com. And StreamX said here, today StreamX and BioSig Technologies Inc. are thrilled to announce the definitive agreements for a $1.1 billion growth financing to launch a gold-backed treasury management strategy and rapidly expanding real-world asset tokenization for $142 trillion worth of commodities. The commodity market. The transaction was led by Cantor Fitzgerald & Co., Clearstreet LLC, and Needham & Co. acting as financial advisors, with CIBC World Markets acting as strategic advisor to BSGM board management. Yeah. But I mean, this is what he doesn't get. The whole point of Bitcoin is that it is Bitcoin that economically incentivizes the miners to maintain the network. It is not centrally controlled. That's the whole point. You buy Bitcoin to use the network in order to upload all of your digital content to it. So you're uploading onto a platform that doesn't have any central point of authority or control. And that is the most valuable commodity on earth, because now you can tokenize stuff on a network that doesn't have any central point of authority or control. That's the whole point. But he doesn't get that yet. You know, he doesn't know the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. You know, he doesn't know the significance of a chain of digital signatures or unbounded scale or a fixed asset supply. You know, commoditizing a network and locking those the fundamental protocol elements. They don't get it. Oh my God. Anyway, they will eventually. They'll have to. All right, 27 minutes gone already. Let's have a quick look at this. Bitcoin to benefit from Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. Analysts predict Congress passed the Big Beautiful Bill, Trump's budget proposal, which could benefit Bitcoin, analyst says. On July 3rd, the US Congress passed into law the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. President Donald Trump's bill offers little to the crypto industry, but it could benefit Bitcoin at the same time. Oh. I'm not going to read all that. I might read it myself later on. Let's quickly skip on through so we can conclude the show. So in response to CSW saying, solving the CAP through automata theoretic economic design, a unified mathematical framework for real-time partition tolerant systems. The CAP theorem asserts a trilemma between consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. This paper introduces a rigorous automata theoretic and economically grounded framework for that reframes the CAP trade-off as a constraint optimization problem. We model distributed systems as partition-aware state machines and embed economic incentive layers to stabilize consensus behavior across adversarial partition networks. By incorporating game-theoretic mechanisms into the global transaction semantics, we define provable bounds on convergence, liveliness, and correctness. Our results demonstrate that the availability and consistency can be simultaneously preserved within bounded epsilon margins, effectively extending the classical CAP limits through formal economic control. Oh. A light says huge. Huge. And Konstantinos Zatkos says, okay, I'm impressed. Even if it's presented as a theoretical concept, are there any real-world performance data? If validated, the framework could have huge implications for distributed systems, rating blockchain a game changer. Considering submitting for peer review, and Craig has said underway, part of the thesis. Wow, well done. All right. Well, Light says huge. And let's see what he said in response to that. He said, so, has anyone heard of this little thing called the CAP theorem? It states that a system can choose consistency or availability in the event of a network partition. It seems that with the right framework, the BSV blockchain is no longer as big of an issue as it once was. Or saying BSVA, it is no longer as big of an issue as it once was. Wow. That's massive. That's big. All right, just read this one quickly then. CSW said, part of the plan is to document everything, capture it, log it, test it, break it, rebuild it, and show how it can be done. But with a critical difference, done without wasting capital, because I can afford to fail. I can afford to burn money on experiments that fall flat. To test edge cases, to screw up a planting cycle, to run the wrong fittings and rebuild an irrigation system twice. Smallholders can't. They live by the margins. Every bad decision costs them time they don't have and money they can't replace. So I'll do it. I'll spend the next few years screwing up publicly, making stupid mistakes, trying dumb ideas, tearing out what doesn't work and starting over. And in doing that, I'll refine the methods. I'll figure out how to optimize water distribution based on region, gradient, soil type, rainfall patterns, humidity curves. Then I'll turn that into algorithms, clean, sharp, regionalized. Eventually into applications, design tools, systems that offer planning, layout, control flow, everything without guesswork. Because farming doesn't need to be mystical, it needs to be engineered. And if it takes me 5 years of wrecking pipes and trailing cover crops and miscalculating gradients so that someone else can plug their coordinates and get a usable, optimized answer in 10 minutes, then good, worth every dollar. It's my money, I can waste it how I like. And I like wasting it on something that builds a future, not just for me, but for everyone who wants to do more than just survive the land, who wants to own it. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome that he's doing that for the good of humanity. Haven't really got time to go over this Substack article that he's in here, but he said digital manipulation and exploration of Kripkean dogmatism and dark triad traits in cryptocurrency social media communities. Oh, that'd be all right. Right, haven't really got time to do CoinGeek, but just a little bit of the 8th of July 2010 anonymity. So he actually writes a post here on re-anonymity. He said it's hard to imagine the internet getting segmented, airtight. It would have to be a country deliberately and totally cutting itself off from the rest of the world. Any node with access to both sides would automatically flow the blockchain over, such as someone getting around the blockade with a dial-up, a modem, or sat phone. It would only take one node, a sat phone. Oh, satellite phone. It would only take one node to do it. Anyone who wants to keep doing business would be motivated. All right. Anyway, loving that. Loving what's happening. Right, we're on the Kellenschweller countdown. It is the 8th of July, meaning we've got 72 days left until the countdown is finished. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it. And remember, hit that subscribe button and we'll catch you later. So until then, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.
Remember, Bitcoin is BSV. Everything else is BS.